Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Community. It has been so freaking long since I've recorded one of these, like weeks and weeks, like probably 6 or 7. So I'm stoked to be back.
She back, boys.
And guess who I'm with?
Whee!
Maria's here, and we're having a kind of my first day back at work, my first full day away from my baby. And that's kind of what we were going to just chat about, is kind of this transitional period, which has been like our first kind of big transition in the last few years, life transition. I feel like we've been doing I don't know, like the same thing kind of over and over again, and elevating and growing. But this is the first time where, we've had something like big personal kind of change things. And yeah, so that's what we're going to chat about, is getting into it.
She's a mommy now. Mamacita.
That trend, I did think about doing it, but I was dead inside. I'm still too dead to make content. I did have a baby, and this will come out. I'm not sure when, because our podcasting team, they're so good. I'm booked into the future, and I'm sure this will pop up sooner. But at this point, I had a baby 5 weeks ago today, and so it's been such an adjustment. And I've been basically mostly off, less off than I originally said, but more off than people were expecting. So I think that's a win.
It's a win. More off than I was expecting. I was certainly alarmed when I saw you the day after giving birth and you wanted to take discovery calls. But
I know. Actually, I was looking at my emails the other day, and I had emails from the morning of giving birth, and it was I think I gave birth at 11:45 or something like that. That Jack was born at 11:47, and so it's but some of these emails were at 10. And I was like, that's what I was doing prior to giving birth, was sending emails. I don't know. It's a perspective change, I guess.
I know. You even went I think it was maybe 3 or 4 hours without texting me. And you're like, so sorry, I'm back. I was just had to get this child out of me.
I know. Even our friend Marina, we produce their podcast, Work Party, which is an awesome podcast. But she sent me a text about something related. And she sent me the text, and I responded 4 or 5 hours, sorry for the delay. And I sent her a picture of my son, Jack. And she was like, I'm sorry, did you give birth when? And I was like, today, this morning. That's why the text was late. And she's like, you're insane. You are nuts. But it's so crazy, because I think especially when we were starting out in business, we were a little younger, and I mean, not that young. Lots of people have kids in their 20s, but I was just about to turn 30, and you were in your kind of mid 20s, and a lot of the moms that we saw in entrepreneurship, their stories were very much I gave birth and I was running payroll at in the hospital, and it was both said with sadness and a badge of honor, and it was this kind of both and, right? And so when I found out I was pregnant, it was just a really big conversation for us, over I think I told you 24 hours after I found out, not even 12 hours after I found out.
Sesame seed.
Yeah, I was it's just we go in a car, and I'm like, I have something to tell you, I'm pregnant, but it's the size of a sesame seed. I was 1 day pregnant. But it's we, from the beginning, were kind of how would we do this? How will we make this happen? What will that look like? And so it's always been really interesting, because I think it's just evolved so much over the time.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. And I think I'm super proud of us for all the mindset work we've done and all the coaching we've done and personal development. And we both have always been really dedicated to that cause. I mean, Kristina had a personal development coaching business before this one. So we've always been in deep on the self-growth journey. And I think that has lent itself so much to you getting to choose what this experience looks like for you. And I feel when we saw those women kind of trying to balance having their baby and their business, it didn't feel like they had much of a choice.
Yeah.
When they're running payroll from the hospital bed, it's that's kind of crazy. And it seemed like they were just forced into that situation. And I feel at least for us, I'm grateful that we had a bit more choice, and you had a bit more choice in terms of how you wanted to navigate it. And I think we're in a great spot, because we've built this awesome team and we have each other, and that's been really awesome. But I also feel you made choices that you might not have made otherwise because of a fear of judgment or what people might think.
Totally.
And that kind of thing. And I feel because of all the mindset work we've done, you were able to actually just choose what was truly best for you and your baby, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I know. It's been really interesting, because I think, well, firstly, in the theme of this podcast, the community piece of it, I always would joke around, I have never felt more community than being pregnant, ever. Where, for the first time, especially, where so many people had, so many opinions about, how to do things, how to structure things, what I like, what I don't like, or what they liked. And so that was really interesting for me. And, honestly, my entrepreneur friends were, such ralliers for me.
So cute.
Yeah, we had an entrepreneur baby shower, and there were, 30 people there, and it was just so sweet. And, even as early as yesterday, or as late as yesterday, I guess, like I received a gift from somebody that we do business with, like at my house, right? Or like, people sending food or like that kind of thing. And there's just such a community around motherhood, and even like just saying goodbye, like there's just something that like it was so special saying goodbye to people, like as I was going to kind of not give birth that day, but like, in the next week or whatever that looked like last time I'd see people, of like it was like a transition of like I'm going to be somebody different when I come back. And like just like there was so much understanding around that, and people just have really like respected boundaries and respected me, and like it's been amazing, like just so amazing. People sending me texts, like just so good. But it was really interesting because a lot of people projected, and I don't think it came from a bad place. So I just want to say that, like, when I say this, it's like I'm not even talking about anybody in particular, but a lot of people projected on me like what they wish they had, or what, like, without knowing totally our situation, which is like I know there's people who run businesses who do not have the choice to slow down, right? Like they're running payroll from the hospital bed because they don't have an amazing team, they don't have an amazing business partner. Like I was like really like kind of set up. And really intentionally for 9 months, we looked at it and we were like, okay, like, what are we going to do differently? How are we going to do this? What do we slow down? What do we ramp up? Like, what's going to work? Like, I really slowed down travel this year in the second half of the year. Like, what did that mean for us? And like, just having those conversations. But it was just interesting because I also felt I'm like major people pleaser energy. And I felt like a lot of guilt about like not doing it the way that people like wanted me to do it, right? Where it's like people would be like, I can't believe you're on your DMs. And I'd be like, well, my child sleeps 16 hours a day. Like, what am I supposed to do for those 16 hours? And even my husband Josh would be like, oh, like, you should be, like, watching TV. And I'm like, well, that doesn't bring me joy. Like, in the same way working brings me joy. I've always gotten so much from work. So it's just interesting because I think there is so much guilt in that. And then I'm also, like, today's, like, my first day where I'm, like, back in for the full day, and it's been really fun. But then it's, like, even the guilt of, like, I'm like, oh, like, my baby. Like, I'm like, I hope he's okay. Like, but I'm also, like, I know I'm going to be a better mom because I'm doing something that I'm really like lit up by and passionate about and excited about,
Yeah. So how are you navigating making those choices of like what you feel like is best for you, best for the business, best for Jack, and like combining all of that? And then also, how are you making those decisions despite all the external like opinions and pressure and advice and all that?
I think it's just that like discernment for myself, like, and asking myself like what feels good, because I think it's so easy. And I think this is for any kind of life transition anyone's going through, any kind of like personal development thing. Like, it's really easy to get wrapped up in what other people think you should be doing and how you should be doing it. And then it becomes like really your like identity. And you're like even for me, I remember being like, oh, I'm going to time that email so people don't know that I work today. And then I was like, why do I care that those people? But then in the same breath, I will say I did a discovery call maybe like 5 days after I gave birth. And the woman, like, I'm kind of convinced it cost us business. Like, she was kind of like, oh, like, that's insane behavior. And I was like, she's like, no one else on your team could do this? And I was like, no, they could, but like, I was like, no one likes it as much as I do. And I actually get a lot of joy in discovery calls. I love talking to people about their business. And she was kind of like, oh, okay. Like, but I that is the truth. And there's no right way or wrong way to do it, So that's been tough, I would say. But I think like, it's just like asking myself like over and over again, and asking you too, like us having conversations around like, what are the things that like don't bring you joy that I do? And like, how can I still like be involved in some of those things and it not be so like debilitating or like it feel like it's like a huge chore? Because ultimately, I don't know if you feel the same way. I hope you do. But like, ideally, we're building a business we love what we're doing.
Yeah.
Not every task. I don't love every task. You can ask Stacey Millard. It took me literally 4 weeks to get her an Amex statement. I just like that kind of stuff's not my thing. But like most of the stuff, I actually love what we do. So it's like easy to talk about. It's easy to do. But it's like more love in my heart has grown rather than like now I'm a mom and that's my whole identity, because I also didn't think that would be good for my mental health. So I don't know. It's like such a tough balance. And I mean, also for you, I'm curious like how you found the transition, because I think there's like an element of like you and I have had so many conversations and we tried to like really set this up, but it hasn't looked totally how we thought it was going to look.
Well, I'm proud of you because you're working less than I thought you would. So shout out to you for that. Although, yeah, you did take a discovery call 5 days post Jack. I did offer to do that. Just going to put that out there for the record. And I probably wouldn't have made the sale, but I would have gotten on the call.
I didn't either, so it was fine. No, but it was more just like, I think for so long, like, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, like, I get so much joy from work. Like, and you don't have the same joy for work. Like, yeah. I mean, my husband talks about this all the time too, Josh. Like, I could work on a project I love for 18 hours a day and like not even think about it. Like I wouldn't even like, I would be recharged at the end. I could probably go out for a drink. You could still love something and work on it for 5 hours and be totally burnt out.
100%.
So it's just like a totally different thing. So for me as like a business partner, there's been never any pressure, never anything where I've been like, oh, like Maria can't do that, so I have to do it. Like it's never been like that. But there is a level when you are business partners of like, how do I add value? Like, how can I add value? And knowing some of these things are just like not your thing that you don't like doing. Just how, like, I'm not making graphics out here. Like, I don't know. There is like some level of like, I want to still contribute to it because it's been like our ride for so long. But yeah, it's definitely different than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, totally. And I'm grateful for the timing on it all because I feel like, I don't know, but I think you were less like this than me, but I feel like I was really victim-y at the beginning of our business where I was like, all these things are happening to me and I don't like this and I don't like that and this is hard and that's hard and I have to do this. And then like the more I've been on this self-development journey, the more I've realized like a lot of those are just stories and they're not actually true. And I think that was a huge part of us prepping for you to be on mat leave is like, okay, so what would it look like if you only had to actually get on the discovery call and like didn't have to do anything else, didn't have to email the person after, didn't have to figure out the packages, like how would we make that happen? And I feel like we just thought about it in such a different way. And I think a huge part of that is having an awesome team. So I'm so grateful for them and their ability to bring that to life. But we've also worked hard on that and learned a lot of hard lessons. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for our mindset because I think it was really what enabled us to be set up so well for this transition. It felt like so smooth for me. I also feel like I was putting in the work on the both like physical and mental health leading up to the mat leave. So it really definitely was good timing because I feel like I have like the most capacity than probably I ever have right now. So it's like a really good time for me to take on a bit more. But we also like set it up so that it wasn't actually like an insane amount for me to take on more, right? And then plus with you continuing to do some stuff. So how have you found it dabbling back into work post Jack?
Yeah, it's been good. And I think it's good and like where it's like anytime I feel any guilt, I just have to like really release it. But the guilt is funny, like, and I don't know, maybe I'm just like not in my mom era far enough yet, or it's like I don't feel guilty for not being with him all the time. Like I actually like really believe that that's gonna make me a better mom. And like even I was gonna post this on Instagram today and I didn't. I don't know why. I like started typing it and then I took it out. But like I was posting a picture of Jack and I was gonna be like left like this nugget today, like blah blah blah. And I was gonna be like, he's gonna be so stoked when I can afford a Disney cruise. Like, you know, but it was just like this, I'm doing this for higher purpose. Like, it's not like, I'm not, and like lots of people can afford Disney cruises. You don't need to work on a mat leave to afford a Disney cruise. Like, you're fine, everybody. Like, if you want to take a mat leave, take one. But like, it was just like a funny thing for me. But it was like, I know when I work hard, it's for like a larger vision and like the impact that I want to have in the world. And when my kids are grown, like when I think about like, you know, all my children, all 12 of them, because I make such cute kids, I have to have 12.
Such cute kids.
So cute. Like I want to be looked at in a certain way or look back on my life in a certain way that like I was a person who led with a lot of purpose and I like loved the things I was doing. And I think stay-at-home moms lead with so much purpose. But that's never been my calling. Like I've never ever had the we have so much family that are all stay-at-home moms and I always tell their kids, I'm like, one of my nephews was like, my mom doesn't work and my dad is like brings home all the money or whatever. And I was like, yeah, your mom actually has the hardest job in the world. Like she's got the short end here. Like she's working hard. Like she's like, you know, up all night. She's got a ton of kids. Like she's like, you know, really shows up for her kids. She homeschools them. She brings them on adventures. Like, you know, she's showing up for her kids in such a particular way. And though I don't think that that's my path, like there's an element for me of like, I'm doing this for like bigger purpose. And so I think when I can sit with that, it's so much easier to do stuff. But the guilt I actually feel is that I feel like we've been in this like momentum season. And I have posted this on Instagram, like where I'm like, if you have met me since October 2024, like you've met the worst version of me. Like this is like, I'm flaky, I'm tired, I'm like kind of mean, only a little mean. I mean, that's been fun for the podcast, but not for real life. But it's just, this has been like my worst season in a lot of ways. And such a gift at the end, but like I didn't love being pregnant. And so I think it's been hard where there's all these things that like, I'm like, oh, that brand's waiting for me for a package. that prospective client, like I was supposed to follow up with them 2 months ago. That person, they're, and I can delegate some of this stuff, but I also didn't set myself up to delegate some of that stuff. And so that's been the hard part where I think about like, people who I'm like, oh, like I met that person and I'd love to do a collaboration with them, but like they probably think I'm such a flake. But what I've also been met with is so many people being like, girl, like I came, like, do you kind of thing. You need this time, you need this season. So I think it's like also provoked me to have more understanding for others. Because I think sometimes I'm like, oh my God, that person didn't respond to that email and that's so annoying and I'm trying to collaborate with them and like I'm trying to bring this to life and like whatever. And it's like you have no idea like what's going on or what season these people are in or what's going on with their families. And I do think another piece is that like the guilt piece is like around like time and how we spend time. But I don't know about you. I think I do know the answer to this, but like I feel like since finding out I've been pregnant and this season of like, slower work, because I've worked way less than I have in the past, I feel like it's helped us prioritize more.
For sure.
Yeah.
And delegate.
And delegate in a big way. But like really, I think about like what, even today at lunch, we were talking with Ben about like, our next season and like what that looks like and what do we think is like the thing that's going to pop off for us or what do we love working on the most. And I don't know if this hadn't happened where I've taken such a like removed step, and I know you've had some personal changes in your life too. I don't know if we would be as focused as we have been or we are right now.
Yeah, totally. And I think too, as we both like go into our 30s.
Aren't you 30 exactly?
For another month, yes. By the time this podcast come out, maybe not.
We have this ongoing joke from a few years ago where I was doing the math on how old Maria was and how old I was, and obviously the time never changes.
Like
right?
we were calculating like a scenario in like 5 years or something. So she was.
So Maria's like, okay, like I'm 29, and I was like, yeah, and I'm 37, and Maria's like, you're 2 years older than I am. Like when I'm 29, you're 31, and I was like, you're right. Sorry, I did the math wrong on that. But we were like, yeah, Maria in my mind is 12, and I'm 80.
Sometimes the age gap does feel large, particularly when it comes to pop culture icons.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know anything. One time I asked, who was it? Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. She was unaware.
And I went home to my husband and I was like, do you know who Jake? And Josh is like actually more into pop culture than I am. But I was like, do you know who Jake Paul is? He's like, yeah, of course. And I was like, oh, yeah.
Also, we were in the States. Someone ordered a Lyft. She's like, what's that? We don't have that in Canada. I'm like, we do.
I don't know anything.
We certainly do.
Honestly, I'm just rocking over here.
No, but I think as we get older, it's like at first we were like, let's do everything and anything all the time. And all these opportunities are great. And like, this is so fun and doing the most, right? And I mean, I also went on a bit of a burnout journey where I was like, oh, I can't actually do everything. And I do have to prioritize and I do have to say no to things that are good opportunities and that would benefit the business, right? Just for my own, to, be standing on my 2 feet still. Yeah. But I think this has even more helped us like see that picture and like, understanding that like when you're taking time away from your son, like we need it to be impactful. We need it to be for our future and for him. And it just like gives so much more purpose to everything we do as well. And I think helps us think about it differently. And I feel like that's just an ongoing lesson. It's like you can't say yes to everything and you actually shouldn't say yes to everything. And you're going to have to say no to some like really good opportunities and ideas and even parts of the business that are like doing well. We have to prioritize what we think is going to make the most impact and where we think our time is the most valuable.
Yeah, 100%. That's actually been such a big learning because even like really the only thing I've been doing is like, some emails here and there, but I mostly just do discovery calls and like partnership calls for high vibe women. And that's actually the stuff that brings me like the most joy and energy. And actually, I booked some travel for September and people are like, oh, like that's soon. And actually somebody texted me yesterday and I was like, this is such an example of this. But they messaged me and they were like, do you have any like travel bookings or like for the winter? And I said, oh no, like I'm speaking at a few places, so I'll probably pop in and pop out like for weekends. But I was like, but in the fall, like I'm going to this event in New York in September and then Savannah, Georgia in October. And she was like, September? Like, don't you think that's a bit soon? And I was like, it seems like you think that's a bit soon. Like, and that's fine. Like, and that's like on you. I'm not going to be like, you're wrong, like, or anything like that. But it's just like, I don't know. I think it's like the passing judgment on like what works well for other people. Like I have so much support at home. Like I have like, you know what I mean? Like so much like that I know other people don't have the opportunity for, right? So I know for many women this is like a forced situation. But I think the priority piece has been huge where I'm like, okay, these are the things that bring me joy in the business. And we're so lucky to be at a point now where we can be like, what is our highest and best use? What brings us the most joy? We didn't create this business that we like work all the time and we hate it.
Yeah.
We also we preach that even with our employees, like too, where it's like one
Really working on Ben with these 3:00 Fridays.
No one works harder than Ben. But for even for us, it's kind of like even I was just chatting with Ben about something we're working on, and I was like, well, you can delegate that if you want to, right? Because if that's not something that's going to be like highest best use or that causes you stress or doesn't bring you like joy, that's really like what we've been building, and I think I haven't wanted to step away from that. And so I think those systems have been really helpful of like being like, okay, like we have a fractional CFO. We've hired Amy to help us with some systems. And, we have an amazing admin assistant. And we've got Ben leading all the podcasting stuff. And we've kind of got the right people in the right place. But that wouldn't be possible. Like what I'm trying to do now wouldn't be possible without some of that pre-work.
Oh, yeah.
And
sure.
I think it's just knowing that, and especially for anyone listening who's in a transitional season, it's important to be able to create those systems, even if you don't have a team yet, even if you don't have we have many employees, we've got lots of stuff going on, but even if you're not there yet, it's what can you do to create it and make it as joyful as possible?
Totally. Because I think especially as business owners, we have more control than we actually realize, right? We don't have to do the things we don't have to do things the way other people do them. We don't have to do the things don't have to do things the way we've always done them. And we have control over what our day looks like, how we interact with our clients, what boundaries we set, all that stuff, right? So that's why I think it's always so important to keep challenging yourself and growing and learning and examining the stories you're telling yourself, because a lot of the times they're not true. And I think that's the power of community, right? You help me so much with that. We help each other. Hopefully I help you a little bit.
Yeah, tons.
We get in community with our friends who are entrepreneurs, the High Five Women stuff, all of that is what gets us out of those, just being stuck and isolated and feeling like we're sort of stuck in the grind.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. I didn't start a business so that I could work 24/7,
Yeah.
Even though that is sometimes required the first little bit when you're getting the wheels off the ground there. But once you're into it, I think it's you have to actually make your business should work for you. You shouldn't be working for your business.
Well, I think that's actually something we should talk about in the podcast at some point. It's kind of the tension between hustle and burnout. You know what I mean? Because I think I couldn't, if 4 years ago, and truthfully, just I've said this on the podcast before, my pregnancy was a very exciting surprise. And so I always say this I'm 14 years old or something, but
a child bride.
Yeah, I'm a teenager. But a very exciting surprise, and I was so elated about getting to start my family and just so excited. But I was in this mindset of I can't do this until. I can't do this until our business makes 7 figures and I'm bringing home this much money. I can't do this until we've got a team that does this. I'm never going to be able, how would I take a leave? And I was actually kind of getting to the point where I was and we've been honest about this, that kind of our long-term maybe vision of the social snippet, it's probably not forever, right? It's not, we're probably not going to run a social media. I'm not going to be 55 running a social media agency, right? So
we can barely keep up with these trends right now.
I know. I don't know who Jake Paul is. I can't do this. I'm getting close to the edge. So if we were to have an exit or something like that, I know women who have kind of lost their opportunity to have children because they're waiting for when the opportunity comes. And that is a really sad world we live in, where women have to choose between I want to work. This is taking a turn, but I want to work and I want to have a family, and or I know many women who by the time they were 42 and they've been hustling all their 30s, they never had the opportunity. And even if they were married, even if everything was great, even super healthy, all of that, right? And I think this was God, universe's way of kind of being it's time.
Yeah, so I'm so curious how, what are your takeaways or how you felt about the whole thing? Because you were sort of pushed into it.
Hopefully Jack never listens to this. Jack, you, I thought you were a girl. That your name was going to be Mila, and you were very loved and
You
wanted.
were very much wanted and planned.
Yes.
It's just the timeline was a little off of what we thought it was going to be. But I think that was divine, because I don't know that you ever would have felt fully ready, and I don't know that the business ever would have been in a place where you're yeah, now this is good for me to leave, right? Because you are so impactful in the business too. But how did you like navigate that transition? What did you learn? Because you were just forced immediately to like slow down. You're like, you didn't have a choice. Your body was like, you must slow down. I'm going to vomit everything you eat out.
Everyone who's like, okay, this is like jokes, but like there's this thing that pregnant women always say, or like new moms always say, they're like, oh, like pregnancy tired is worse than newborn tired. And I was like, these women better be right, like, because I will never survive it. And it's worse. It's worse. Like, I'm totally fine. Like, I mean, I'm a bit sleep deprived. Again, I have a lot of help, but like, pregnancy tired was like bone tired. And so it was the point where like we talked about this on our 4-year episode, and those episodes where I was leading up and I was pretty pregnant. Like, I would go places and I would sleep. Like, you know, we would go on an event and I would sleep for 6 hours of the day. Like, it was like so, like, I couldn't even control it. And I think it's a total like God thing that I was like that I was pushed into it, that it was the opportunity, it was that like it happened the way it did, that we had the team we do, what we did, like that we're in the financial position we are, like all of those things were like win, 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 win. So lucky, but I know that's not everyone's situation. And I think like that's why it's so important. Like, your business is not your baby. Your business is not your life. You're like, you know, you can take a wrong turn so fast, like, and it could feel like your life is over. And that's why, like, for me, like when I think about our business, and this is something you and I have always been so aligned on, which is like such a blessing, because I know that's not the case for everybody. And I actually just talked to a founder the other day via Instagram DM, and she was kind of like, me and my business partner are not aligned on like these things. And I was like, don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like, I'm like, have the conversation, get a contract in place. Like we're gonna be honest, we don't have a contract like in place. Like
that has been an idea for a few years and no one's taken any action on some sort of partnership agreement, perhaps.
Every once in a while, we're like, what happens if one of us die? I'm like, you'll take care of Josh? You're like, yeah, I'll take care of Josh. I'm like, amazing. You die, I'll make some donations, and it'll be fine. I'll take care of your mom. Philomena doesn't need me, but I'll take care of her. But like, it's just, I think we've been so aligned on the fact that this business is not like a business that is like, we're going to die to create this, and like this is going to be our whole life, and we're going to work 55 hours a day, and we're going to like do this. It's been like, how can we make this the most amount of fun? Like, how can we bring the most amount of joy? How can we do the most amount of like godly, like impactful work that like we feel like we're like, this is our mission to do. And every time you and I stray away from what feels like our mission, one of us is kind of like, this isn't it. Like, that's not what we want to be doing, or that's not close to where I see my life, or not, you know, like we're always like kind of in that, or like even like when we're making choices, like us being like, you know, is this coming from the best place? Like, you know, like, are we being gremlins? Like, you know, like, let's not be bitter about that. Let's like see that as a lesson. Like, we always kind of hold each other in that space.
Yeah.
So I think that's been really helpful. But I think like lots of women don't have that opportunity to like, you know, they want to start a family. They don't get the opportunity to make that choice in that way. And I think, you know, it being such a surprise in such a positive way was such a blessing for me, because I actually think I would have been 45 and been like, holy shit, I missed out on this thing I really wanted to do, because I was so wrapped up in this travel. I was so wrapped up in what we were doing and making money. And like, this has been such an exciting, fun season, but also my best seasons yet.
Yeah.
You know, your best seasons yet. And like, I think what we're doing now is building like, I want to build generational wealth for my family. I want to, you know, do a ton of charity. Like, I think my best season's yet to come. So it's easy to get wrapped up in like the good right now. So I don't know. I think if anyone's listening to this, hopefully someone's listening. Someone has this on auto download, I'm sure. But is that I think like if you live in that energy of like, this is not my forever, this is a season, this too will pass. Like even when I'm with Jack, there's so many times where I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, there's this thing going on that other people are doing, and like I kind of want to be there. And then I feel guilty about wanting to be there. And then I remember, oh my gosh, my baby's never going to be this small. Like, I'm literally holding this baby, and it's never going to be this small again. And I'm not going to be at his wedding regretting I wasn't at a Founders Club event.
Totally.
You know, like I'm not going to be like, oh shit, I really missed that like workshop. Like really wish I went to that webinar.
Really wish I got in that cold plunge.
You know? Yeah, the Founders Club people, if you joined Founders Club, it is an amazing community. We absolutely.
The events are awesome. Yeah.
We love it. We love it, love it. And they have so much stuff going on. There's like always like, who was it? Mark Cuban last week that you guys listened to. Oh, that was a perfect example. I went to the chiropractor with Jack, and I was like, shit, I'm missing Mark Cuban. And then I'm like, that's okay. Like it's going to be okay, right? So I think it's about the give and the take. And I think this will, I'm still early in it. I think this will continue to develop. And yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
Oh, it's so good. I think what I will leave us with is like, business can just feel so all-consuming, because there's always more you can do. There's always a million fires to put out. There's always a million problems to solve. It's a lot, right? Like you know that if you have a business, it's a lot. it is sometimes hard to like take a step out of that and remember that you are like a whole person with a whole life outside of the business. And I think for me, I really need people to do that for me. So thank you for always doing that for me. My dad's great at doing that for me too. He's in his late 70s. He's got a lot of wisdom. But it just reminds me kind of like what life's all about. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's not just this business, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that has been a catalyst for me in this season is remembering that like there's so much more to life. And even when we're making business decisions, they don't have to be, and I don't think they are often 100% business decisions, especially with us. It's like, is this fun? Does this help us make more impact? Does this, make our employees' lives better in some way? Like there's so much more that goes into it for us. And it comes from a place of what our values are. And our values have never really been around money. Of course, we want to make money. That's what the business is for.
Yeah, my yacht's coming. My yacht, I think my yacht's coming.
I also think it's coming.
I don't want to own it. Again, just a reminder, I don't want to own it. Don't try to rent it from me. But
are we renting it?
I just want to go on one for a really solid day. It's actually not even that expensive. I just want to be on a yacht in which I have rented. I don't even want Jack there.
For those of you who have not been on this yacht journey with us, this has been like a day one. And it's so funny. I looked at our old website yesterday and it was like meet the team page. Ben and I were laughing at the copy because the copy was hilarious. It was like,
how dare you?
It was like, please work with us. It was like, let us be your social media team. And then the entire like meet the team page is me and Kristina.
My favorite part of discovery calls now is I would say 50% of them, I'm like, ooh, we're not your people. Like, this is why. And not in a bad way, just like, this is what I think you need, or you're looking for ads, or you're actually looking for this, like, whatever. And then 50% of them are super our people. But in that season, it was like, please work with us. Like, it was like, please, I'll build you a Shopify website.
We'll do anything for money. Yeah. I was making brand kit. Like, I was literally doing anything these people asked. But the yacht thing was always like our day one, little symbol of like one day we're going to have yachts. We're working so hard right now and we're grinding it out. And like we're working towards these yachts, even though I get very seasick and I actually have no interest in a yacht in any way, shape, or form. I will go on one, like the one that you rent for that one day. But I think the important thing to remember, like business, motherhood, life, like all of these things is like when you're making when you're making decisions inside your business, they should also take into account your values and your life and your preferences and what you want to spend your time doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Well, Maria, the best is yet to come for us, for Jack, for us all. But this has been so fun to reflect on, and I'm loving being back even just a little bit. I know the summer will be a slow return, but can't wait to see all the things that we get up to.
Love having you back, and welcome baby Jack to the world. Woo!